those two blocks. So you can see a lot of opportunities to integrate and bring people to that upper level coming from the north or from the south. So it will serve not only this development but the neighboring communities as people walk to the new transit line. And you can see that we have opportunities to create those plazas a lot greener and introduce a lot of green opportunities. This is a view from that plaza. You can see the station at the center with restaurant seating. We have a sort of a feature restaurant that could open up and have a cafe and outdoors. The green that I mentioned to you before. And then lastly, you can see here in red that part of this property is actually within that stream valley buffer. And we see the opportunity of creating a much larger system of open space. One that with the enhancement of some trails, some seating areas and some connections could extend all the way out to Rock Creek and create the Chevy Chase Lake Park. And you know, the things that can happen there obviously would be trails, educational opportunities, overlooks, and all that can be done while still preserving and enhancing the environmental values of this area. Last but not least is sustainability has been an integral part of our planning. We have accommodated a number of environmental measures. Here in these diagrams you can see that we've done it at the street level. I've mentioned those quite a bit as part of our streetscape. It's been very much an integral part of that. As we move to the upper levels, we have a series of terraces and sky parks. Some of public nature, as I described on the transit station, some of more private nature that will be part of the residential amenities. Those are designed to be green, to store water. And then at the roof level, we have green roofs, which will reduce the heat island effect and provide some additional environmental values, and you can see that here. In conclusion, I just want to say before I send it to pass it to to David, that the public realm, has been the cornerstone of the plan. It creates a place that is vibrant and delights, and where the neighbors can come together and will provide the opportunity to reconnect to the other neighborhoods in the area.
As we mentioned earlier, and as Trini walked you through, we really are looking at 10 blocks of development within the 49 acres. Connecticut Avenue, we have a small area over here that transitions into the community. And then we really have what we call the 4 station blocks, where the majority of the denser development occurs. And within that, you have the station Main Street, you have the neighborhood Main Street, you have the Park Plaza area, which is the central portion of the project. Then you have the Garden District, which is predominantly residential. If you really look at the elevation of the station, you kind of follow that shadow line there. The station tracks begin to rise over there, and then we actually develop underneath the station in this area, and then the station tracks go across Connecticut and then begin to dive down and land somewhere about in this area. The way the station and the rail line is designed, the biker and walking trail actually follows it across Connecticut Avenue, elevated as well. However, there will be opportunities through our street and block grid to allow that to just as easily be an at-grade crossing at this intersection right here. So you'll no longer have to come here, go down, cross, and then go back up. You can cross here as well as walk across on the bridge system as well. So from a programmatic standpoint, how does that begin to lay out? I'm going to go layer by layer and then show you a comprehensive kind of plan for you as we go through. And don't worry, I'll show you some renderings as well that you can be amused by. Starts with street retail. We're looking at about 200,000 square feet of retail, and we believe it can be a combination of recreation retail, entertainment retail, dining retail, and community serving retail. and that can be a variety of different kinds of tenants from that standpoint. We believe that it's important to have it along Connecticut Avenue, and we believe that we can drive the retail into the area about 2 blocks consistently. So then the next level up, we're calling the station level. The station is right here. The bus drop-offs will be at grade on Main Street and on the North-South Street. And you begin to see that this level, you begin to see a lot of residential play into the equation and just a little bit of retail. It's very difficult to get retail up on those second floors, but we believe that we've got an opportunity here because of the station that we can locate maybe a specialty restaurant at this point that kind of overlooks Main Street, and then also do some transit-oriented retail like a Starbucks up there, or like an Einstein Bagel, or like a news station or something like that. So there's a little bit of retail on this level that begins to associate with the office. Across Connecticut Avenue, we're proposing professional office above retail, and then a townhouse development that faces the existing residential community. And in this case, the existing residential community is uphill from us, and so it will not be intimidated by the residential development here. The same thing goes for across here. The topo is going from high to low, and that allows us to get underneath the rail line and to connect the roads together, as Trini has already mentioned, and that's why you begin to see some of that topography working there. We then go, and so this shows us once again at the station level. So the station is right here. You can begin to see that the bikers and all that are integrated at this level, as well as pedestrians that might be coming out of the office buildings, coming out for lunch, dining in the specialty restaurant across the way. That's the hotel that is up at the northern corner of the project. And you can kind of begin to see how the high-rise buildings are stepping down to low-rise buildings at the north side of the property. Then we get to the mid-rise levels, and you begin to see, even at this point, is that we've already maxed out the heights of these buildings. These aren't mid-rise buildings, these are low-rise buildings. We've already maxed out the height of these buildings and all of these. They're not mid-rise buildings, they are low-rise buildings. And so the mid-rise components of the project are kind of in the meat around the station and in areas that are buffered from the adjacent community. And you begin to see the office buildings and the hotel grow out of the base from that standpoint. Mid-rise can be up to 10 floors, okay? Low-rise is up to 5 floors. And high-rise is high-rise. It could go as high as you want, but I'll explain that in a minute. So here's the park, and the park that Trini described. We're going uphill to Manor. That's the walled residential community to our north, and there's the terracing of the landscape and the preservation of the existing trees. Once again, you begin to see how the residential is stepping down in height from high-rise to mid-rise to low-rise. And then obviously this is the high-rise. So once again, you begin to see that the high-rise buildings are kind of like point towers. What we really want is that as you're in your community, and let's just say that you lived in this neighborhood over here, the only buildings that you potentially could see would be the various towers that would rise above the tree canopy. And so as you're standing in your front yard, in many cases with the forest and those kind of things and the maturity of the forest, you really will begin to see that a lot of this development you won't even see except for the very tallest point towers that rise out of that. The dark yellow are the high-rise. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 residential buildings that grow out of up to about 8 to 10-story bases from that standpoint. And then the office buildings come out along Connecticut Avenue, and the hotel is that as well. But you can begin to see, here's the forest. Here's the existing classic residence, which is a 17-story building, and the existing condominium here. And so here's the office building. The purple line is rising over Connecticut Avenue. Here's another office building. And you begin to see the residential towers grow out of the basis of the building. So this is taken from the southwest looking to the northeast. So what's this kind of the summary of the program at this point? As I mentioned earlier, 200,000 square feet of retail, street retail mostly, dining, recreational, community serving, 3,000 residential units in various forms and in various heights and in various products, 150 key hotel specialty service, community-oriented. It's not a conference center hotel or a convention center hotel. It will be a select serve with a specialty to serve the community from that standpoint. 900,000 square feet of office. A component will be in professional office and a component will be in corporate office. And so you will have those kind of varieties all above the street retail. So at the street level of those office buildings, you will have predominantly retail with entrances to the offices at the street level and on the station level. And then we have the building heights. Now I want to slow down a minute and I want to begin to show you kind of what we're talking about. Some of these numbers are probably a little hard to read out there. And I'm sorry for that. So this is the eastern section. And of course, this is the station here, okay? So I'm going to start back here. This is the eastern section. We're looking at 4 stories up to a 10-story building back here, a combination thereof. Some of this will be townhouse kind of development at the perimeter, and then this will be what you either call a platform multifamily, which is roughly 4 to 5 stories above or wrapping around a parking deck from that standpoint. And this building would rise a little higher than that because it's right down on the purple line from that standpoint. We begin to move. We've got a group of townhouses here in the middle, and we have an existing community that's really kind of downgrade from everything. And we're looking at stepping buildings starting at 5 stories, which is a typical kind of wood frame, stick-built kind of market across from the single-family residential units. We would then step up to where we're along the purple line, up to as high as 19 floors. And then as we move towards the station, we also have 19, 18, a 15-story office building, a 16-story office building. Step back down to a 6-story professional office building with a 4-story townhouse development on the back side of it, stepping back down into the community at that point. So in essence, the concept is, and these things can be moved around a lot, but because we are looking at how we arrange the program across the site. But the idea is to respect the community here, to look at the compatibility of the community here, and really build from a low rise along that edge to a high rise in this area, and where we can afford to be in an area where we can build a predominantly mid-rise residential components with high-rise point towers from that standpoint.
What about the community at the bottom?
We'll get to questions at the end.
You certainly can ask those questions in a minute. So come back in summary. Let's look at kind of how that's all plays out with density. We've got 379 acres within this sector plan. We comprise 49 acres. Here's the program that I just pointed out to you. It comes to roughly 4,300,000 total square feet. The majority of it, 3 million square feet, being residential. Okay, 3 million square feet of that is residential. Based on a floor area ratio of a gross track area, the way we measured in Montgomery County, that comes to an FAR of a 2. If you look at it comparatively, we just got through giving the White Flint area roughly a 6. Floor area ratio. Do you need for me to understand what floor area ratio is? Are you okay with that? Okay. You're not familiar with it. Okay. Floor area ratio is measured by taking the total square footage of the land. So if you have a 1 acre piece of land and you have a floor area ratio of 1, that means that you can put 1 acre of development on that 1 acre of land. Now you can stack it up, and it can be 1 square foot for 48,000 square feet tall, or 48,000 feet tall, or you can spread it out and cover up the entire land, piece of property. And so what we're doing is, in getting a 2 FAR, we can put twice as much development on this, so we can put 100 acres of development on this piece of land with a 2 FAR. We can either stack it up and create park and open space